How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This week we're finally going to be installing the first performance modification to the RS3. Something very small, but something that is going to make a bit of an impact in the long run, especially when I got an induction kit and when the car's tuned. It's going to benefit the car nicely, nice little subtle modification. So I'm going to show you how to install it. I've fitted one of these before to my friend's S3 8V. So hopefully it's quite straightforward, although some of the people in the forums are saying it's a bit of a pig to do. So we'll see how it goes.
B&B on the track.
So as you can clearly see, it's made by Go Fast Bits, and inside the box itself, you've got all of the additional components that basically get put onto the stock diverter valve in the RS3. You get your instruction guide, which is a bit kind of useless to me, really. It's aimed at the the Mark 6 Golf R, because they use the same diverter valves for the 2 litre TFSIs as well as the 2.5s. Also get yourself a nice GFB sticker, and that's about it, really. I sort of make that a bit clearer. When I say useless to me, mainly because the location in which the stock diverter valve is found on the Golf R is completely different to the 2.5 engines in the Audis. So we'll find that and I'll show you where it is, obviously. I'm also going to put some before and after clips. I'm not too sure how much sound difference it's going to make while using the stock airbox on the RS3 because it's enclosed. So I'll do some stationary revving before it's fitted and after, put them side by side and see if we can hear any difference. So for those of you that aren't too familiar with diverter valves or turbo recirc valves, basically the same thing. The difference from this and a dump valve is a dump valve releases the boost pressure into the atmosphere, hence the noise it makes when it releases it. A diverter valve is basically recycling the boost pressure. So when you change gear, the pressure goes into the valve and gets recycled and put back into the turbo, so you're on boost faster. It'll increase throttle response and it prevents any leaking when tuning. Some of the stock diverter valves could be a bit weak. They've got plastic components and crappy springs, so you could be losing your boost pressure if you tune your car without using an uprated diverter valve. And if you have an open cone induction kit, that's where the diverter valve is going to make most of its noise. It gives you a nice like chatter noise essentially. So it sounds great, good little bit of performance, and it removes any risk of leaking components. So guys, the first thing we need to do is gain access basically down here, which is by the elbow of the inlet plenum. To do this, we're going to have to remove the airbox, the snorkel, lift off this little cover, which is simple. To essentially remove the airbox, there's a few screws down here. I may have a look at the actual panel filter itself because I've not seen it yet. So while I'm here, I'm going to take these off, have a look, take this clamp off and get the snorkel out. So to remove the top cover of the airbox, you're going to need a T25 Torx bit. Remove 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screws, and this will lift off. Torque screws. You then need to remove the cover as I've shown you, take off this clamp here and also this clamp here, and this will all come off as one piece. Get yourself a pair of wide grip pliers or mole grips that should be able to grasp either side of the clamps, and simply remove the clamps on both sides.
Depo on the beat.
What I'm going to do instead is remove this clamp rather than this clamp. It's just going to make it a bit easier, really. So the panel filter's out, looks fine. Inside the airbox, you've got 2 grommets here, which I believe will just pop off once I've removed the Torx screw down there. I'm going to take the snorkel off, which simply pops off easily. And then again, you've got some clips in for this side of it. So the snorkel's out of the way, I'm going to remove that Torx screw there, and this should pop off, giving us access to the diverter valve. Okay, I was wrong about that Torx screw. It literally just pops off the grommets. They are in there so tight. Give them a proper firm tug and it will come out. I had to double check online that I was doing the right thing, because it does feel like you're going to break something, but basically these massive thick rubber grommets I'll slot into these holes here, and you do just have to pull it off. And once you do, it's all good. So now the whole airbox is out the way. That gives us really good access to the diverter valve, which has got 3 fixings, 1, 2, and the third one is underneath, which is going to be a pain in the ass to get hold of. So I'm going to take these off, follow the instruction guide that comes with the kit, and essentially put the new components inside this with the new springs, etc. Fix it back on and put it all back together. So the next thing to do is unclip the wiring connector from the solenoid coil by pulling up this little black square that's in front of my nail upwards, while pulling this plug off of the solenoid. So I completely forgot to press film. Basically what I've done, I had my flathead screwdriver, put it underneath this little tab while it's on the solenoid, pulling this tab up while pulling the plug, and it will just unplug like that. So the next step is to remove the 3 Torx T30 screws that are holding the solenoid in place. I'm going to do this off camera. I advise using a small ratchet if you've got one. If not, some Torx Allen keys will do the job. Right guys, just to explain what I've had to do. That one's easy, use a ratchet. That one there, use an Allen key. Once you crack the seal, you can do it off of your fingers. The one underneath, I've had to remove one of the coolant pipes. This pipe here was connected to this here. Take it off with a set of mole grips, take the clamp off, tape it up so you don't lose too much coolant. I know it's gone everywhere, but I can top that up at the end. I've then used a long reach ratchet with a flexi joint at the end. I've put it behind this pipe here so I can access the lowest nut. So I'm going to take it off now. So guys, as you can see, we've finally got the original diverter valve out of the car. It was a pain in the ass to do. I didn't think there was any way, unless I did have a tiny ratchet, which I was told anyway that I did need a tiny ratchet, but I thought screw it, I'll try my little one. Didn't quite reach. So it was easy enough to take this coolant pipe off, use my long reach as I've shown you, and take off that last bolt. So the next steps is to disassemble this and then put the new parts inside. So essentially, this basket you're going to separate from the plug itself and take out the contents of what's inside. And that is about it. So now the contents are removed, it seems you reuse the original rubber seal, place that into its slot, get yourself the thinner spring that's in the kit. This is going to go here. This slots over the top. This then wants to go up this way. Then finally, the last thing you want to do, grab your final big spring, place that in the top, get the last component, and that sits on top. Sweet. It's worth noting, guys, you get new fixings with the diverter valve. They're going to be Allen heads instead of Torx T30s. So I'm going to refit this onto the car now, and I'll get back to you once this is on. So using a long reach flexi tool, I've been able to tighten up the new Allen heads really easily. I advise you getting one of these if you haven't already. So now I'm going to put the plug back on, put the coolant pipes back on, and finally put the airbox back in.
Depo on the beat.
So guys, as you can see, it's all installed. Got there in the end. It was a little bit fiddly. It's very easy to do. There's nothing difficult about it. It's just having the right tools and the space to do so. I'm going to play the clips now from before it was installed and after and see if there's any sound difference. I don't know if there is. I've driven it since. The throttle response is definitely a little bit more noticeable. It's more responsive. In the cabin, it feels like you can hear something different, but I'm sure that's just placebo. Knowing that you've done something to the car makes you feel like it's making more of a difference than it really is. But overall, the main thing you can notice is the fact of how quickly you're on boost after changing gear. If you keep up your digital boost display, you'll see this very clearly. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Please like this video if you did enjoy it, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure you're tuned for the next video. It's going to be a good one. I'll see you soon. Peace.